Yeah. So, good evening. I am Nitin. Welcome to Web Dev Bootcamp by CSEA. Through this course of events, we are gonna familiarize you with basics of web development. Uh, this whole event is divided into three sessions. The first session, which is today, is on basics of HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. And the next session, which will be tomorrow, is on the basics of JavaScript and a session. And the third session, which will be a few days later, will be on portfolio website and deployment on Git and deployment on GitHub. And we'll also guide you through the basics of Git. And yeah, let's get started. So this is the first day, and we are going to take you through HTML and CSS. And so now, what is HTML? So HTML is a language which we use to display content on web page. So HTML basically, is responsible for the content display on web pages. So we'll guide you through basic layout of HTML file, tags in HTML, elements and attributes, preview and inspect element. Or this is a nice feature of Google Chrome where you can see how each element is styled and stuff on any website. And external, internal, and inline CSS. These are the three types of CSS, which we'll deal through as this event progresses. And then what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Yeah, as I said, it is majorly responsible for the display of content on the web page. It describes the structure of the web page. Yeah, how each element is ordered, like the order of elements is decided by HTML, and then it tells the browser what content to display. Yeah, it's majorly responsible for content display, and then consider it as the basic skeleton of web page. Yes, HTML is always the skeleton of web page, and what you add onto is only the styling part. The whole content, HTML is only responsible for the content. Yeah, and the basic layout of an HTML file. First, we start with a tag. Everything which comes in between these angular greater than less than symbols are all known as tags. And first is a doc type HTML, which tells the browser that you are encountering a HTML file. So this tag is responsible for that. And HTML, whatever we write in our web page should be bounded by HTML tags. This is the opening tag of HTML, and this is the closing HTML tag. And then coming to the head part, in head we have all the metadata, and metadata as in the data which is not visible to the client, to the user, but which is important for the functioning of the web page. And title, the title, the page title means the thing which you see, like here, this Web Dev Bootcamp. This is the title of this page. Yeah. And yeah, everything else in the head is metadata only, which the user cannot see it, but is essential for the functioning of the website. And then coming to the body, this is the region where everything is displayed, and whatever we write inside this is visible on the web page. And this is just an example. H1 will guide you through this as it goes on. H1, and this is a heading, and paragraph. This is a paragraph, and this is the basic layout of HTML. Each and every HTML file you see has this basic layout. Otherwise, it doesn't work properly. And then HTML elements and tags. Uh, an HTML element is defined by a start tag, some content, and an end tag. So this is the basic skeleton of a HTML tag, a tag name, and inside this we have the content, and this is the end tag. And the names of start and end tag are same, and end tag is characterized by this slash character before it. And then here are some examples of tags. We'll guide through all these examples later. The H1 is heading tag, and P is paragraph tag, and this is a body tag. And then BR is a break. It's an empty element without a closing tag. There are some elements in HTML which have an ending tag and some which do not have an ending tag. They're also known as self-closing elements, self-closing tags. H1 has a closing tag. Paragraph also has a closing tag. and body also has a closing tag, and break. This does not have a closing tag. Div and span, they both have the closing tags. And don't worry, we'll be expanding on this tags later. And now you can find in your chat box there'll be a practice question for you guys till what we taught here, so you can go through it. Yeah, we'll give you 1 minute time so that you can answer that question, and then we'll move on to the next slide. So yeah, I hope everyone tried to answer that question. So let's move on to the next slide. Yeah. Now I'll show you actually how these things work in a web page. Yeah. This is VS Code. Yeah. So this is the structure of a outline of a HTML page. This doc type HTML tells that this file is an HTML file to the browser, and this HTML. And this language English, this could be ignored because the primary language is anyways English, and this is used to tell the browser which language this document contains. Then head tag, which one of the major important elements of a head tag is title tag, which is the title of the web page. And then the body tag, and body has an ending tag, and HTML also has an ending tag. And yeah, let's start. So you might be thinking like, how do I check the real-time functioning, like real-time changes made in my web page? VS Code gives us a good option for that. Go to extensions and search for live server. Live server. Then you will look at this. You just install this extension on Google Chrome, on VS Code. It is free. So after you've installed this, you can either have two options. You can right click and you can see an option like open with live server, or else down below you can see go live option. Either of this you can do, and then you can see the working of your web page on your local host. And one more thing you have to remember is you can't share this to someone else. Only it's on your local host. If you share the address to someone else, that shows that it's a wrong address, because it's only local to your host. So let us go live. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the only this green color stuff is comments, which I'll talk about in a while. So now we have is h1 heading, which h1 is a tag. It is mainly used for heading. So the content in the tag is heading. If I change it to like first, and then save it here in my VS Code, then live change here on your local host. So this is h1, which is kind of big and bold. We have other heading tags also, which is h2 through h6, which are decreasing in size starting from h1. H1 is the largest and h6 is the smallest. So yeah, you can use this headings according to what size you need. And yeah, as this progresses, you can change anything. These are the different sizes for each of them. And then now we also have a paragraph tag. which you can write some paragraph. You can write whatever text you want in a paragraph. So I'll just and now save it. Then now you can see paragraph. You might be wondering what this some weird kind of language is. This is nothing but lorem ipsum, which is a dummy text. When you don't actually have content to display on your web page, but you want that region to be occupied by something, you can do paragraph tag. And then if you want, like, how many words do you want, it's like you have to click lorem, and then if you want a 15 pages thing, 15 words ka paragraph, then you have to lorem 15 and enter. Then it'll auto generate some dummy text for you, and you save it, and you can see 15 letter ka paragraph here. I mean 15 words ka paragraph. And this is how basically paragraphs work. And then automatically this paragraph, you might be wondering, this paragraph, why didn't it start right after this paragraph? Because paragraph is a block type element, meaning it goes all the way across. I mean, you can't find really any text here. If I add like blah 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 and then save, it'll go on like that. And if you want to push it to the next line, I mean, because as it is a block line element, it pushes any other element next to it to the next line. So when I added a new paragraph below it, it pushed it to the next line. So that's how paragraphs work. And this green thing is actually comments. As you are already doing C++, you know how important comments are. But the importance of comments is even more in coming to HTML and CSS pages, because it's for better readability. If someone wants to make changes in the source code of only for a particular element in a large website, then it'll be, if the comments make it easier to find that element and change it. So how do you comment? Is like you have to select what all you want to comment and hit control and question mark or slash key. It'll toggle like comment, uncomment, how many times you click it. And so now let's move on to the paragraph. And paragraph is done. So let's move on to div. So div. Coming to div, full form of its division. So what basically is the division? So division is like dividing, the contents on your web page into parts so that they can be, easily, you can access them easily. So for that, if I want these two paragraphs to be grouped together, like if I want to, style them similarly, so I can put them in a div so that, I can style them similarly, because I can identify them. I can basically group them together. So that is the main purpose of a div. And so if I save it, H1 and P separately also will give the same display, but why we wrapped it in a div is basically for our convenience. If we want to edit or if we want to style it particularly, then it will be easier. You'll understand the importance of div as we move on to CSS, which we'll do as it progresses. And then now let's move on to the span. Let me save. So you see, I wrapped this word bootcamp inside a span. So span is nothing different other than div, but the only difference being div is a block line element and span is an inline element. Inline element means this doesn't knock any other things below them. It just takes up the space which you can see here. Like, let me show you. Copy it and I'll paste it down. Copy. So if I save it, you might wonder, this could continue here, but why not? Why isn't it continuing? Because I said, right, div is a block line element, so it pushes the next element onto the next line. And if you want, I can, copy this span thing again and paste it. So if I save, see the word bootcamp again, it's not knocked onto the next line, it's coming in the same line, because span is an inline element, so it will, give space for it in the next, to the side of it. Yeah. And now you can find a second practice question in your chat box. We'll give you 1 minute time for answering it. Please answer it. Yeah. So now let's move on to the next slide. Let's talk about HTML attributes. Attributes, are like qualities of a particular tag. Attribute is like as an alternative of quality, and then attributes in HTML. It provides additional information about the HTML elements. Think of it as a key value pairs. Yeah, for example, here's the href attribute in a tag. We'll explain you what an a tag is in a while. So this a tag, this href is an attribute, meaning the quality of this a tag. This a tag is actually used for links. So whatever we put inside this, it'll after clicking that it'll take us to that web page or whatever link we put in here. And this is the text that displays on the web page for alternative for this. And let's coming to source attribute in an image. Yeah, these are like examples of attribute. Don't worry, we'll guide through in a while. And then this is a class attribute for a div. This class is used for styling part, which we will do it in a while. And then width and height attributes. Image. This is an image tag, and then inside it we have attributes, height and width. And remember this that attributes cannot stay independent. They definitely have to come within the tags only. As tags they can work without attributes also, but attributes definitely need to associate themselves with tags. Yeah. Now we have the third practice question for you. We'll give you 1 minute. Try and answer that. So let's move on now. Yeah, some special tags in HTML. HTML links. The A tag is used to click our way from one web page to another web page. HTML links are hyperlinks, meaning when you click them, you are redirected to that page. And the basic syntax is A, which is the tag, and the href attribute. We have to paste in our URL here, and we have to put some text which is displayed on the web page. And if we click that, we are directed to this page. When we click on some text, we get redirected to the specific URL. And now I'll show you how that works in a while. And coming to image tag, the HTML image tag is used to embed an image in a web page. Images are not technically inserted into a web page. Images are linked to a web page. We just link, they're not inserted. You can understand that. And the attributes, the attributes which are associated with image tag are source and alternate. And the source is where you put the URL of the image. If its image is local on your computer, then you have to paste the path where the image is in the source attribute. And then for the alternate text, if there is some problem in displaying this, some problem with the browser to display this image, then instead of that, in the place of that image, this alternate text will appear. This could be a problem even if the link, even if the URL, if you pasted here is wrong, then alternate text will be displayed because the browser won't be able to find something with that URL. So now let's see how it works. Yeah. So this is okay. Let's start with a tag. Just a minute. Yeah. So a tag. What I have done is I went to google.com and then I copied this URL and I pasted. I clicked A here, and then it already gives me the href in VSCode. So I pasted the URL in the href value for the href attribute, and then I'll right click here for Google. Just a minute. Yeah. and then I'll save it. You can see this special underlined because meaning it's a text. You can anyways change the style for it using CSS. So if I click this, the text which I wrote here is displayed on the web page, but actually it'll redirect us to another page. The link which we provided here, I can click it. Then I'll that'll take me to the Google page. And if you want, for some reason you want, you can open it into a new tab like this also. But if you want this functionality of, after we click it, it's opened in a new page, new tab, then you also have to add the target attribute. Then the value for this will be underscore blank. So if after I save this now, if I click it, it'll open in a new tab so that, they won't deviate from your website, main page. You can do this if you want that. And if I change this to, only Google, then save only Google. So this is basically what you want that to be displayed on your web page. So it will do this. So if I click on Google, next, yeah, like that. And now let's move on to the image tag. So now I want an image of water, or yeah. So I'll click water and then move to the image. So I want this image for water. So what I'll do is I'll right click and then just a minute. Let's see, yeah. This is, yeah. Copy image address and then I paste it here. And then alternative, I'll just say water for this. If I save it, you can, it's actually a large image. So yeah, I can see, you can see this image here. So for some reason, while copy pasting, I, did a mistake. I, pasted it wrong. So this is basically a wrong URL. So if I save, now you can see only water here because there's some problem. Browser can't find an image with this address. So it's basically a wrong URL. So what it'll do is like it'll display the alternate text here. So if I put something like XYZ over here, then it will display XYZ over here. So that is the thing. So that is how image and A tags works. So now, wait a minute. Yeah. So now you'll have a question in your chat box. Please try and answer that. You have 1 minute for it. Okay, we'll extend the time for 1 minute. It's a good question. Try it, take your time and answer it correctly. Okay, so I'll explain this question in a minute. Okay, so what we want here is, just a minute, yeah. We want the image to be displayed as an hyperlink here. So yeah. So first, there's an A tag that will be used for links. And href is where we want to, after clicking this, where we want it to go. So give me a minute. Yeah. We want it to go to google.com for example. So I'll paste the link of google.com here. Yeah. And then what I want it, to actually display on the browser. I want, for suppose, it has a image of water on the web page. And if I click on that water, it will, guide me to Google, because it's very important for exams nowadays. So now image tag, and it has source and alternate attributes. So source is like same. I'll like water, and then images, copy image address, and then I'll paste it here, because the content which comes in within the A tag is what you want to be displayed on the browser, right? So you have to put your image between the A tags. So that will display on that, and the alternative is like water. I'll save that. You can see now this water, and you can identify links by this also, like a default. If you move on to a link, there's this option of the cursor is changing to a pointer. So because I put it inside a tag, so this is actually a link. So if I click that, it'll take me to Google. So this is the answer for the question now. Now let us continue with the PPT. So input tag. So now we are coming to actually, how to take input from a user in a web page. So we use input tag for that. This chapter describes the different types for HTML input element. There you might want input in different types. For some of the examples are button, checkbox, text area, and then text, like the normal text. So like that, basically will also validate the type of input. If the user provides a wrong input, then that doesn't input that. And coming to forms tag, an HTML form tag is used to collect user input. The user input is most often sent to a server for processing. Like basically we want a form, to submit to the server, and then, want our work to be done. Like it could be like a sign up form or login, sign up form for a website. And then the form element is a container for different types of input elements, such as text fields, checkboxes, radio buttons, etc. You can work without this form element also, but it's it'll make your form more organized. You can keep all the elements related to form at a particular place, so that you can manage it easily. So different form elements are like input, label, select, text area, and button, which I'll guide through now. So yeah. Yes. So if you have two files like this open on your like two HTML files, like basic.html and forms.html, and you're on your local host. So I want this to change from basic.html, so I can directly do this from here by clicking forms.html. Save. Yeah. Just a minute. So now first we'll I'll take you through the form tag. There's this form tag here. This also form tag is basically, you want to wrap everything of yours around inside this form tag. So this form tag has an attribute which is action. So this is basically you can put after hit the submit button or sign up button for something. If you want your form to take you to somewhere, then you can put a link here. Or else basically if you want your data to be submitted to a server, then you have to include the server file here. This is has to do with the backend part, yeah, which is out of the scope of this session for now. And so let's start with the first type of input. So this label tag now. Label is basically, as the name suggests, it's a label for something, meaning, it's just the name for something. And this for attribute is used to, for matching what type of attribute you want, matching what type of input you want. So basically for attribute is used for that. And whatever you display inside this form, whatever the content you write inside between this form will be displayed on the web page. So now if I, save this, sorry, you can see now I wrote name here. So it's like name here. And now coming to input, this is this tag, this input tag is a self-closing tag. As you can see, there's no closing tag for this. And input is, usually used when you want to take input from the user. And this usually has three attributes, meaning which are type, name and ID, and type. The type means, what type of input you want to take, because name is basically a text. So I want the input type to be a text. So this, you can write any text here. And then this is name. This, majorly has to do with the backend part, how you want your collected data to be saved there. And this ID is, is something, which we, I used to identify that this is the thing. So I can write any text here, like my name, then yeah. And then, so now this one good functionality of this use of this for and ID. See, if you want, like, see, I didn't click on anything. So now if I click on name, it's, it took me inside of this, like, meaning type something. It's like, it's asking me to type something if I click on name. But what happens if I change, ID to, if there's a, like something, and if I save it, now this doesn't take me inside. So for this functionality, if you want this functionality, you definitely want your for attribute and ID to have the same value, which is name in this case. So it has to match exactly. There should not be, any case difference also in that. So now, we have that functionality now. And this is one type of input, which is text now. Then we'll move on to the next one. Yeah. So now save. Yeah. Now email. We have this we can also have email type of input also, which takes only, add some mail.com only that kind of input is accepted. Otherwise, uh, and then yeah, name. Okay, yeah. So this type is email, and this, the names, the values which we provide to this attribute are, completely of your choice. You can take it anything. But this type here in input, that you have to, based upon what kind of input you actually want. You have to, this type should match what kind of input you want. If you want that validation directly here only while submitting, otherwise you can always, filter later based on wrong and correct responses. But who would want to increase work? So we basically use type here only. And then now similarly, and if you want someone, to prompt, like, basically it should be in this kind of structure. So we can also use a placeholder attribute, which is, it's like, as the name says, it's a placeholder. It's like you have to enter it like this, abc@example.com. And then if I save it, it's like, it's not the entry here, but just prompting you to, enter something like this. So I'll be like nathan@gmail.com. So like I have to enter it like this. So I'll get an idea of like this. And one more thing, if you want, like, so, which is not used much, but if you want something like it to be fixed in the starting only, so you can take a value attribute. So, and you have to enter your thing here and then save it. So this already has the value in the starting only. So you might want to, cut and then give your thing. But this is not, which, like, mostly it's not used, but you can do that also. And placeholder, yeah, it's just to give an idea to people who are entering it, to just tell that it's an email. Okay, yeah. So now let's move on to the password. The input of a type password. We have labels and input, mostly come in combinations, because you would need, input is basically just a box. This box here is the input, corresponds to the input here. And then this email here, yeah, this label here corresponds to this text here. And let me save it, sorry, yeah. So password, yeah. So I put password here, so it's showing password here. So type of password means whatever you enter here will be, shown as dots, like any other password which you enter in any other website. So it's like whatever I enter here is not shown here. So yeah, so different types of input, basically for different, different types of input, they automatically validate, right before, even before you submit that form. Yeah. And now we also have the date type of input, which means, you can only enter dates here. And there's this cool drop down. After you click that, a calendar will open for you, and you can, just select whatever date you want from here. So that this could be used for, date of birth or something like that. These are different types of inputs. And input of a type color, lets you choose a color which you want. If you save, if you click this, then you'll have a palette here. And then don't worry about this RGBR. We'll cover it in a while. And then, yeah, like this, you can, select whatever color you want using this palette, whatever. Yeah. This is a type of color, input of type color. And then this is a select list. So I put a label for it, meaning saying, do you have a credit card or PayPal? So now, if you observe, I put a break over here. That is because if you have observed till now, all my labels and input were coming side by side. So like this. So see, favorite color corresponding input came beside it, because the label tag is a inline element, so it doesn't knock the next element to its next line. So it came right beside it. So what I did is I added a line break. As I explained, line break is, to move something to a next line. So after I did that, otherwise, if I remove this, the credit card will come right beside it. So I don't want that for now. So I want, the credit card thing to come in the next. So I'll add a line break. So it'll push it on to the next slide. And then now, if you, like the select, now coming to the select list, to select a name, and, this for an ID, as if you want that functionality of, if I click it here, it'll take me to that, take me to whatever the input field we have. For that, for an ID should match. And then coming to select list, and select it as a select tag, ending tag also. And whatever you want, options which you want to give, you have to wrap them in an option tag. And the value which, is like similar for here, because I already put values here. Credit card, this will be used at the, backend part. Then this is the text which I want to display on the web page. So it's like for option this, I want to display it as credit card. And then for option other thing, I want to display it as PayPal. So, these two options, I can select any of them, and then I can move on. So that is select list. So now coming to, yeah, we come to radio button now. So this label is like for an vehicle. This is your own name, and then what you want to display is that favorite vehicle. And then I want all this to come to the next line. So I put a line break here, and then what you have is input. This type is radio. And then what this radio means is like, this small little circles. You can select whatever you want, and then name and ID. And then, for this input, this just gives you this round little box circle only. And if you want some text, want to display beside it, then you have to put again a label for that. So these two, are a pair of input. These two are a pair, and these two are a pair. So this pair, is responsible for bike and car, this circle and bike. This input will display this circle, and then this label will display bike. So what if you want, other thing. And one more important thing is, you definitely need to have your name match in each and every input. And yeah, each and every input. Otherwise, this radio will, let you select multiple options. I'll, see. Now I can, if I select bike, it's solely bike. And then if I select anything else, the other thing gets, unchecked. If I, like have a typo here, something, and then save it. So now you can see, I can select multiple. So that is the thing. If you have two name values for, if you have same name values for two things, then you can only select one among them. See, if I select scooter, bike is getting unchecked, unselected, because name of their name matches. So only one, you can select one among them, and car has a different name, so you can select any. So if I change it to something else and then save, I can select all the three, which is not what you want in a radio button, because radio is basically you want to select only one. So make sure your name matches here. So I'll take it back. Sorry. Then save. So now, oh, sorry. Now you can only select this. Only one among them. That is a radio buttons. And now let's move on to the text area. And then text area is, this label is for message. And then text area is something, which allows you to write multiple lines. So now if you want, to have more, like this text area is, quite small. So if you want, you can add more calls, like calls attribute, and then say like 12, and then rows attribute, then say like 15 or something, then save. It's like 12 units this way, and 12 units this way, and 15 units this way. So but you don't want to do this, it'll mess up everything. So you want to style this text area in CSS. So but basically what you want to remember is like this message, text area is used for giving like multiple lines. Like if you have a query or something, like some complaint, so you can give a text area for that, because it takes more, like more content you can fit in it. So yeah, now let's come into this button. So now you can also like style input as button. Like, so if input, and I put a type of submit, and then this, what it'll do. If I hit this sign up, it'll take me to the, where this form is directing me to. Currently this form is directing me to google.co.in, because I put it as a type of submit. So after submitting it, it'll take me to Google. So, and this value, you can put it like however, whatever the text you want to display inside the button, you can put it like that. So for example, if I want it as submit only, then I'll save it, and then it will display submit. So basically after you click it, it will take you to the whatever, action thing you gave here. So if I click it now, it will go to Google. Then instead of input, there's other alternative also for this. This is directly a button tag, button with the type of submit, and then it'll work this exact same way, but just telling it's an alternative. Okay, you might, now I'll put it this as sign up, just differentiate, and then save. Now whatever you write here is displayed, but sign up doesn't mean it's a sign up, but eventually you want it to, move to some other, like if you want to submit only. So I gave it a type of submit. So if I click it, it'll go to the, the destination. So yeah, that's it about forms and input. Now Venu will continue.
Yeah, thank you, Nitin. Now I will cover this tables, lists, and iframe tag. I will share the screen. Share. Yeah, wait a minute. I'm not able to present my screen. Hello, can you see? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. We can see your screen.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So now I'll discuss about this table tag. Okay, hold on. Where? Yeah. Now I'll discuss about this table tag. See, basically we use tables. Okay, yeah. Now I'll discuss about table tag. See, basically we use tables to organize data, like in terms of rows, columns, and everything. And you may wonder how to get a table in HTML. But yeah, don't worry, HTML has covered that. Like there is already a predefined table tag which you can use directly to represent tables. I'll show you example. Can you see me? Yeah, hello. Can you see my VS Code?
We can only see the PPT. You share
Okay.
your whole screen. Yeah.
I'm not getting all the options. Yeah, okay. Sure. Can you see my screen now? This tables part.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we'll share the live server part. You can see the whole screen along with Google. So okay, so I'll show this table part. See, first of all, we use this table tag here, and then this t head represents table head means, and this this th means it's part of table rows heading. Like, see, now I'll show this how it looks here. I'll comment out this. Yeah. Okay. Open. Can you see this? Can you see the table?
We can only see the VS Code.
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can see this now.
Yeah.
Can you see this?
See.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Now let's discuss about table tags. See, already this table tag is predefined, and here you'll write this table, and here this t head represents table head. It means that it's part of table heading, and this th represents table heading. And here we mention what the rows headings are, like which column represents what. Here we'll mention its first name, last name, ID, and everything will be pretty organized here. And you can represent tables like this. And if you want to see, and sometimes we'll see that in only single column there will be two columns, like under same heading there will be two columns in it. So you may wonder how to do that. See, we can see this here. We can use call span tag. See here, I'll show. Yeah. So you can see this table, the second one. See, under this mobile number heading itself, there are two columns in it. So here we can mention that. See, here we can mention like this. The second heading must have two columns in it. So we'll mention like this: call span is equal to. It means two columns will be covered under this single column heading. We can mention like if there are three, we can mention three. And here TD, here TD means table data. Like we'll write first TR. It means under table row, we'll distribute the table data. Like the first column heading means this, second column heading means this, and third column heading means this. Like if write call span is equal to 4, you'll write plus one column plus these three columns again separately. Yeah. And then in place of data, you can also add images. Like for example, see, like whatever content you give here, it will be displayed. Like it may be normal words or image tag or anything, or it may be example hyperlink to. Like here, see, instead of content, here I'm displaying like image. So your image will be displayed here instead of content. So if you want to change that here, yeah, okay. So like I will add another row. See how we'll write. Like first we'll write tr, it means table row. Then we'll mention table data. Like yeah, some country, some England, something. Yeah. In table data, we'll write with hyperlink. Like some, we can add some hyperlink. Some yeah, some example google.com something. And by clicking some word, here I'm writing Google. Yeah. I think it's fine now. See, like this we can write, and by clicking this we can go. That means I'm mentioning that in table data, whatever you're writing, it will display it. Like you can write image or any hyperlink or any data like that. So like that, we'll display these tables. I think you got it. And yeah, now can you see this list PPT? So basically list means like that we'll have two types of list here, order list, unordered list. Like it mentions everything in form of list. I think by seeing it, you can understand. Yeah. Going to list one. So yeah, list. See. Here OL means ordered list. LI means list item. So here I'm mentioning that I'm writing here I'm using tag OL. It means everything will be in order. Like there will be numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before every data I represent here. See, like I'll show this one here. I will show this. See, here it's written our order list of places is Mumbai, Hyderabad, something, whatever stuff I mentioned here. So here, yeah, same like this, whatever you want, you can mention it here. Yeah, and here there is an order list. I think you know what bullet points are. So bullet points will be displayed in an order list. Like it's not organized like in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will be in bullet points, like you can see here how an order list looks like. Yeah. So yeah, see. So before every word or before every list item, there will be a bullet point. Now another thing is there. It's called description list. We don't use this much often, but yeah, just I'm showing it. See, like this, there will be proper indentation by default, and yeah, here this is the description term, and here it is description data, and like this we can use description list. DL means description list, yeah. But mostly we'll use order list and unordered list, as there are many uses of this order list and unordered list. Like for example, we can also make a navbar using this order list also. Like for example, here we can give maybe the links instead of this list items, like some head stuff is equal to some stuff, like whatever I said in table data, same like this. Yeah, here maybe Google. Yeah, yeah, like this. Yeah, see here, like this. In every list item, we can give the links and we can make an navbar too. So there are many uses of this lists. Yeah, and we can also use nested list like that. Like we can write a list inside a list. Like see, you can see here. Like this
Just
is
a minute, Venu. Sorry to interrupt. You guys don't worry about the syntax. If there's too much to remember, you can always Google. You just have to know that what exactly you want from Google. You can always look up websites which will provide to you. They're great reference for syntax of HTML. You don't need to remember all this. You just need to remember the functionality and what which thing is used where. That is that's the only thing that matters. Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
yeah. I think yeah, and we don't use this nested list often like that. Here we're writing inside an order list. We are writing an order list like this. See, first of all, it's represented in 1, 2, 3 like that. The data. Then again, these bullet points are coming. So here we are representing an unordered list inside order list. But yeah, mostly we don't use this. But I'm just saying that it exists. That's it. Yeah, and also there is a tag called iframe tag. I'll show this. And you don't worry or you don't get too intimidated by seeing this. This all stuff are available on Google. If you have a doubt, you can just Google it. It's not wrong. And yeah, and I will talk about iframe tag. See, I'll show how iframe tag works. Basically, this iframe tag is used to embed a web page in a web page. Like you can display a YouTube video in a web page. Like for example, see here. I'll show that how it works. I'm going to my people's page. Yeah. See here. Yeah. See here. I have embedded a YouTube video here. And here I used an iframe tag, and here I mentioned the width, height. I think you no need to worry about width and height. Everything will be discussed in CSS, or you can understand by your own, like how much width it must occupy in this web page. Like that, we can mention here height, yeah, and from which source, everything, and you can directly get this. That means you must no need to write everything from scratch here. Like that, for example, if you go to a YouTube video and click share button, and there is option called embed, you can directly when you click that embed, automatically will get the code, and you can directly paste here. So no need to worry like why I want to remember this all features like source here, title, frame border, allow. You no need to remember everything. You can directly get it from the YouTube video itself. Whenever you click that share option, you'll get an embed option. There you'll get the complete code for how to embed it, and you can directly use it. See, here itself I can play on video without going into the website. Yeah. So like this iframe tag will be used, and it's not like only we can do on YouTube video, we can do any web page also here. Instead of the source, we'll change that and we'll put some web page link here. And a point to note that not every YouTube video can be embedded. That means that upload permission must be given, but yeah, not, I think it's not needed now. But yeah, like this we can display, like this the iframe tag works, and yeah, you can see the PPT too. Yeah, list tag, how LA means list item, on order list, mostly we use this, and iframe tag, yeah, we can use this iframe tag to display a web page within a web page. Yeah, so you can use it for displaying a YouTube video, or maybe you can display a normal web page also. That's it, and then we'll take the CSS part. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Venu. Now I'll be taking the CSS part. Just a minute. Can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen now? Hello?
Yeah, it's visual.
Yeah. So now let's start with CSS. Its full form is cascading style sheets. So as the name suggests, it is basically style sheets, like the sheets where you basically style all your elements in it. HTML is for the displaying the content on the web page, and CSS is for styling it. CSS is the language we use to style an HTML document. CSS describes how HTML elements should be displayed. So now I'll guide through what are the CSS now in a moment. So cascading style sheets is used to format the layout of the web page. We can add CSS to our HTML file in 3 ways. So one thing is inline CSS by using the style attribute in the HTML tag itself. So like if there's a H tag and you want its color, its default color, if you remember, when I shared my screen and showed it, it was like black color. All the headings were in color black because that is the default color. So now if you put a style attribute and then put color equal to color :red, now the heading which corresponds to only this, but the content which corresponds to only this will be colored to red. And this is one type of CSS. And now internal CSS, you can use style tag in your HTML, inside the head tag, and then you can style various elements in that. I'll guide you through everything now. And external CSS is like writing the code in a separate file and then linking it to the HTML file using link tag. And then link has a attribute rel, which just to describe what type of thing we are importing. We are importing a style sheet, so rel has the value style sheet. And href is like the path where from where where your style sheet is located. So now I'll guide through all the selectors now. Just a minute. Yeah. So now as you can see, I have all this. So by default, everything here is in everything is in black color. So now if I'll show you all the 3 types of CSS. The first is inline CSS, which I recommend not, I don't recommend anyone to use it because it makes everything kind of messy. If I want this H1 to be, in red color, so I put style and then here I'll put the color attribute and then I choose it red. So now if I save my file, you can see this is, colored in red now. And so similarly, this is one type of CSS which is inline CSS. And now if we want internal CSS, meaning the CSS will be in your same file as HTML. So put a style tag in the head, and here you can start styling each and every element. So there are like 3 ways in which you can select an element to style it. So basically, you can select it like uh, to the tag of an element is a C. If I want my whole of my body to have red color, so I'll just put the body and then open some curly braces and put color equal to red. So after I save it, everything which is inside this body tag right here, everything is colored in red. So you can select directly an element like this. So, or if you want only the only the H to be of red color. If I save it, see only the H2 is red, and why H1 is red, because I already gave styling for this here, so that's why it is red. And now this is one way you can select element. And the other way you can select element is by assigning a class to it. See, for like if I want this paragraph, this paragraph, sorry, this first one right here, if I want it to be in blue, and this I want it to be in green. So if I take a p like this, like paragraph, and then if I put color green, sorry, color green, and then both of these, as you can see, it's kind of faint, but both of them are colored green, but I don't want that. So basically I only want to select this first paragraph. So what I can do is, I can assign it a class or an ID. So first I'll start with class. So I'll give it as, class A. And then for this, I'll give a class B. So now I can, style them based on their class. So now how do I select upon a class? For selecting a class, you have to, put a dot, meaning you're going to mention the name of the class now, and dot, and then, you have to give what class, the name of the class. So dot A. This means dot represents that I'm selecting a class, and then A is the name of the class. So whatever elements have the class A, I want to style them in this way. So I'll say color equal blue. So now if I save, this is blue, and this is restored back to black, because we don't have any styling for it. So now if I want, this second paragraph which has a class B to color green, so I selected it using dot, the selector dot, and then put sorry put color equal to green, and then I save it. This is green. This is basically how you select. You can use class also, and now if you want this, you can keep an ID also to select elements. So I know ID is like first, and then now dot is how you grab upon to a class. And now if you want to grab on ID, click the number sign, that is a hash, and then write the name of the ID. So my name of the ID is first, because I want it to display some other color. So I'll put color, and then put it maybe brown. So if I save it, now see this changed to brown color. So yeah, and then now if for some reason you want this H1, this is H1. So this you want to in the center of your web page. So what you do is select upon this H1, because by there's only one H1 in this page. So basically you can, or because there are also multiple H1 here, they'll also align into the center. So what I'll do is text align property, and then I'll put it to center. So what happens after I save it, all the H1 in the page go to the center now. So if you want only this H1 to go into the center, you can give it a class of some whatever name you want. And the naming of classes, it could be as you wish. You can give them any name and select upon these classes like dot. Or if you want to give that ID and give ID is also, you can name it whatever you want, and then select upon it using this number sign. And then text align center makes them this thing. And now so I want to show a good feature of Google Chrome, which is the developer tools. So now you can, let me make this big. So now if you right click and inspect, or you can do that, or if you click F12, so am I audible now? Am I audible? Am I audible now? Hello?
Yeah, you're audible. Nitin, you're audible.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Yeah. So now, if you click on inspect, just give me a minute. Yeah. So you'll have something like this. So let me make it big. Yeah. So this is where you can inspect each and every element of your code. So now this this you can see it kind of contains everything. So if you want to see the particular styling for H1, you can either click this. So you can see the style over here. There are various other you know qualities. You don't get overwhelmed by seeing all this. So see, so basically here down here you can also see it looks like kind of box. So this is called as box model. So this basically is the content. So these are the dimensions in which the content is displayed. And so this is padding, which comes after the content, and then border, and then margin. So like this, if you want to check the styling of this paragraph, so click this cursor and hover over to click that, and then you can see the box model of this. So basically, padding is something which comes inside the border, between the border and text. So if you want, more gap between the border and text, you can push it. And if you want other elements to, kind of move away, so you can add margin. Margin is outside the border. So let me show you how it works. So for H1, I'll add a border. So border is like first, the length, how much of pixels. That is the unit which you use. 1 pixel, and then what type of border? Solid, and then what color? I'll give it, gray. Yeah. So if I save this now, you can see this one border, like this, this whole thing. This border is for all the H1 here. So now if I go select this H1, you can see the border for it, the gray. So if I want, for some reason I want this border and this first the content, it should kind of have more space. So what I'll do, that is where padding comes in. So it's like padding, and then I'll add 10 pixels on all side. You can try and work out yourself, like which how much distance you want. I mean, how much padding you want. So now you can see this increased gap between this and this. So now what if I want to increase height, my distance between first and heading. So that is where margin comes in, because margin is outside the border and padding is inside the border. So that is the only difference. So now if I want to push only the bottom one, so I can customize it saying this margin is padding 10 pixels is all the sides, like top, bottom, right, and left. But I want only margin bottom. So like you can put a dash and then select like wherever you want margin, and then I'll be like 20 pixels. So now if I save, you can see now this is kind of pushed downwards heading. Yeah, so it's that way. Margin is for outside the border, and padding is for between the text and border. So padding is inside and margin is outside. So that are the most basic CSS stylings. You can work on them, like you can play around, create something like that. So now Venu will continue with Bootstrap.
And now I'll talk about Bootstrap. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Sure. Fine. See. Yeah, now let's go to Bootstrap. See, first of all, before going to Bootstrap, I'll show you one thing. Yeah. See. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we
Hello,
can see.
can you see? Yeah, okay. This is our CSEA website. Now you can look at this. So first of all, we look at see there's a navigation bar here, like which contains this home, events, career, more something, some login stuff, something, and yeah, and it looks great in this screen. But if we see first, let's go to this inspect feature. Yeah, here we can change how it looks, means how the same website looks in different devices, which are different screen size. Like if you go to Samsung Galaxy, so you can see this looks like this. Here you can see, but see here you can see this complete navigation bar is converted into a drop-down menu, and it's like this. So because we can't have that complete nav bar up here, as it is adjusting according to the device size, and it's called making some website called responsive. That means nowadays many people are using their own devices which are different screen sizes. So that's where this responsive comes into picture. Means responsive means to make it good, to make it look good in any device which you use. See, normally means if nothing is there, then this is like this, like everything is looking great. And yeah, I'll save, show it. Yeah. Yeah. See, if I extend the screen, the navbar is looking great now. And if you compress the screen or reduce the screen size, see, now after some point, this whole navbar is converting into a drop-down menu. That means this website is actually responsive. So that's where Bootstrap comes into picture. Like we can make responsive websites very easily. First of all, if you want to make an navbar, yeah, I'm not saying that you can't write code for this navbar or making responsive websites on your own, like using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You can write. But why would you want to do that if you are doing this stuff for every website? Like nowadays, every basic website contains this navbar, and every website is responsive, and everything is common stuff. Like means for the small stuff, I want to write everything from scratch. Like I would want to waste time on this simple stuff. So that's where Bootstrap comes. See, there's a website called getbootstrap.com. I'll show this first. Bootstrap.com. Yeah, you can go to this website. Here it contains many pre-compiled CSS stuff. That means many are already defined, and we can directly just copy paste them. And you no need to understand what is there here, everything, like what exactly goes here, what classes are here. You don't need to understand everything. You can directly use them. See, if you go here, there is some CSS file. Okay, you don't think anything, just copy it and you can paste it in your head. Yeah, now I can, yeah, okay, now I referred, now I link that CSS file to my normal HTML document. Yeah, see, for example, let's go to this forms. See here, yeah, overview. Already there is a form. See here, there is code for it. This is code for some random form. Okay, this code you can directly use it and see how it looks. See, you can see this is looking cool, like email address, and okay, this box is extended to complete screen, and yeah, there is small note here. Yeah, password. Yeah, okay, check me on. These buttons are looking great. Like normal HTML buttons are not that much great, but yeah, these are looking great. Like these are properly shaped, and corners are great. And yeah, and see, if we reduce the size also, it's looking great. Okay, so that means I'm just saying that there are already pre-compiled CSS stuff which you can directly use it. Like you no need to understand what exactly is there. In this file, there will be some pre-compiled classes, like predefined classes. See, for example, here it's given as class is equal to form control. Like here it's defined as form control, and what styling must done to this class, it will be defined in this file. If you remove this, you can see. Yeah, see, now this box came here. This input box came here. That means it's not looking great now. So when you are giving that class name, there will be some certain styling involved to that in the style sheet. Yeah, okay. So yeah, okay, now you can see this. Yeah, and I'm saying that you no need to remember this all, like these classes, these colors, like this all, like you can directly use them, and you don't need to remember this all, and you don't get too intimidated or get feared by seeing this all. Like you can directly use them, and you don't need to understand anything. Like for example, directly you can use them in whatever you want. Like instead of email something you want, you can change it, and instead of password something you want, you can change the type, and you can directly use them. And there are some things called containers, like I'll show after. Yeah, see, Bootstrap is a framework for building responsive and mobile first sites. it makes styling your web page simple and easy because there are many pre-compiled stuff in it we can use directly. So you no need to understand what exactly it is there. Just you must know how to reference it, like how we are using this. See, like we are having this link to the CSS sheet directly. And I'm saying that you don't need to download it. You can download it and you can add to your folder, but you can directly use online also. And if you go down, yeah, it's called Bootstrap containers. So what exactly a container is? See here, if we go to layout, here it's containers. You can go there and you no need to understand what exactly it is there. Everything is explained here perfectly. In Bootstrap documentation, everything is perfect. So you can just understand by reading it and nothing to explain here. See, if you take here, there is something called container. Okay, I'll use this. It is given that, okay, we'll write like this and class name is container and we'll write content here. Okay, fine. So for example, how it looks, let's check it. First I'm directly copy pasting it here. And yeah, and here writing some heading, some maybe some I am in container. Okay. So yeah, you can see here there is some padding here, and it's like, and this heading is looking like it has some padding here, and it's a bit centered now the normal. See, like if there is no this class, if there is no this class, then you can see that it's normally it's starting from the left margin. But whenever you add this class, so it is all pretty centered, and so that onwards you can directly use this class container by linking this bootstrap one. See, for example, now I'll keep this whole form in the container class. You can see like I'm writing div class is equal to container now. Yeah, okay. Now I'll keep this whole form which I got from bootstrap and I'll keep this in container. Now you can see this. This whole form is now pretty centered. It has good padding. So what exactly container does is it just contains the data in specific way, which looks great. Even if you reduce the screen also, yeah, it's looking great. It also makes your all websites responsive. And also there is another system called grid system. You can see here. So basically what this system is, I think you can understand exactly by reading this all. It has given, yeah, okay, to mobile flex, to get mobile first flex box grid, to build layouts of all shapes and sizes, yeah. And it's a 12 column system. See, generally this grid system is 12 column system. That means your whole screen will be divided into 12 columns and you can mention at which point the screen must break. That means if you can mention that certain part of a row must take 6 columns when the screen is large, and when the screen size is reduced, it must take some 12 columns or something like that. We can mention how many columns it must take. So specifically when we are doing the same website in small screen devices, we'll don't get any problem. So for example, I will show this. Yeah, you can, if you go down, see there is a class called div class row, and inside we are writing by using class is equal to column, 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 like this we are writing. And see, for example, if you use this code, we can directly copy paste here. Yeah. See here, we will get a column like this. That means here, whenever we are writing something in class is equal to row, they'll all be in a they'll all be in a certain row, and here I'm mentioning class is equal to column. So if you are not mentioning how many columns it must take, then automatically it will be divided between these three because there are three inside this class row. So now instead of column here, I'll write it must take 6 columns. So basically you must remember that there are 12 columns. That's it. So if you write 6 columns, then it will take half of the screen. Then remaining 2 will be distributing them. Like it will take 3, it will take 3. Say here, see now, see this is taking this much. I think it will be great when we add CSS to it like that so that we can see the borders easily. Yeah, and I will show this part. Okay, grids. Yeah, I've already written it. You can see here. So I have already added some border to this column so that you can easily see the border. See now I will run this. Yeah, it's grids.html grids. Okay. See here 1, 2, 3, 3 columns are there, and here I have written call LG4. You can understand by going down here. Everything is mentioned like what class name represents what and what class does what type of styling, and everything is mentioned down. You can see here, like if you write call 6, we'll get 6 means it occupies half of the screen. Nothing is mentioned, then it will be divided equally. And here it's written as call LG2. That means LG represents large, MD means medium, and SM means small. Everything is explained here. Bootstrap documentation explains everything clearly. So yeah, no need to worry or no need to remember this all. Now here I have written call LG4. That means when screen size is large, we are telling that it must take 4 columns. That 4 columns. That means 1/3 part of the screen. So here see, because now screen size is not large, so it's not taking 4 columns. And if we extend this, see, now it's taking 4 columns. Like yeah, see, now it's taking 4 columns, 4 columns, 4 columns, and yeah, it's taking like this. Now we can also make response to by mentioning at what point how many columns it must take. Like here, if we go, I will show one thing. Here you can see this. Here I have mentioned that div class is equal to call LG3. That means when screen size is large, take 3 columns. When screen size is medium, take 4 columns. When screen size is small, take 6 columns. So basically there are here. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 columns here. So initially 4 columns. As when screen is large, there will be 4 columns displayed like this. See, because call LG3. That means 3 into 4, 12. Yeah. So when screen size reducing, see now only. So now each one is occupying 4. As I have written, call MD is equal to 4. That means from this is the transition where from large to medium it occurs. And here I have written when screen size small, take only 6 columns. That means only half of the screen. That means in each row there will be only 2 columns. So if you reduce the screen to small, see here, there are only 2 columns. Like that, we can mention everything, and you don't need to feel feared by seeing this. What is LG? What is MD? What is small? You can directly read this Bootstrap documentation. And I'm saying that you must not go directly into Bootstrap after doing this HTML and CSS stuff. When you get familiar, then afterwards you can use Bootstrap directly for some stuff, because you don't want to write the same thing again and again. So that you don't waste time, you can use this Bootstrap part. Yeah, and it contains many things, not only this. You can see here, you can go to components here. The many things like maybe a navbar. So if you want to use the navbar, you can directly go here and directly copy this whole code. And I'm saying that you don't need to understand this, what everything is there in it. You just copy paste it and use it to, and like for example, here there are some navbar like navbar home link drop down, something is disabled here, everything is explained here. And if you want some other navbar, just you can change the terms here, or if you want more things in the navbar, just you can add from this itself. And you don't need to understand what this form control class is, what this drop down item is. Everything is already predefined here. You can just directly use them to your benefit. And here, if you go down, yeah. So I have said what is container. Container is actually, it helps us to contain data in a good way or in a beautiful way, such that there will be padding perfectly. And I said about grid system, 12 column system, and everything. And if you go down, some of the Bootstrap components which use majorly navbars, carts, carousel, buttons. So yeah, you can see here what are navbars. Yeah, you can use them
After
directly.
this, could you also, tell a bit about external CSS, how to link a CSS file?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you said it. Okay, I'll explain. Like, if you want to link a CSS file, first you create a CSS file. Like, see something I have written, like there is some CSS file here, and see this some basic HTML file. Okay, see here this is some class. Okay, there is some paragraph here. Okay, yeah. Now I will make an CSS file which is created by .css extension, and yeah, here you can write whatever stuff you want, means whatever CSS styling effects you want to add for this. So here I want to make the text in paragraph to blue. So here I can add to P to make the text color, make the color maybe some blue. Yeah, see here. Yeah, now I can link this here in the head tag. I can write link. So automatically it shows, but you must write this link is style sheet, means what type of link we are making it. It is about style sheet, like it's about CSS. So we'll write here style sheet, and here href. That means what is the file name? Like it is a.css. Sorry, caps a.css. That means it automatically links if the file is in the same directory, or if it's in different directory, then here we'll mention the path to the directory. And here, So like this, we'll link the CSS externally. So I have linked the Bootstrap link directly. I can copy this from Bootstrap website itself, and I'm linking that Bootstrap in online itself. So yeah, if I link this website, and yeah, so now I'll show this. See, basically this, I think you can't see this, yeah. So basically this paragraph is displayed in blue color because in CSS file, what I linked, it mentioned that whenever the paragraph comes, the color must be blue or something like that, yeah. So here I can mention whatever, some classes also. Same like internal CSS, but we'll write all things in a different file and we'll link it separately in the head tag, that's it. There's nothing much difference in this. I think there is not much difference in internal CSS and external CSS, but internal CSS we'll write inside this head tag using some style tags, but in external we'll directly link it. That's it. And yeah. So here there is called carousel. What actually carousel means, everything is explained here. You can see it. It's like maybe playing images in slides. Like see, you can see like this. So yeah, there is complete code to it. You can just add this code, and instead of this, you can replace your images. I'm saying that I'm not saying that you cannot write code for this, but yeah, you can write it using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But still, already everything is pre-compiled. Then why don't you want to write everything? Like you can directly use them. See, so basically using this only this simple code, we can so you can get this directly. It has good styling effects. See, everything is organized, and yeah, these three images can be played like slides, and yeah, and you can change it whatever you want here. Like for example, you can change the image link here, and we'll get your what image you want here. So this is what carousel is, and you can understanding by reading this Bootstrap documentation. So don't worry, everything is clearly explained in this Bootstrap documentation. So yeah, you can go to carousel. Then there are navbars. I said about navbars. So you can directly use this code to get a navbar. Like you can directly copy paste the code and you can use them. Yeah, and what are there? What else are there? Yeah, Bootstrap cards, buttons. Yeah. So here buttons. Let's go to buttons. See, normally you can write button and type, and you can add CSS to it separately. But already many type of buttons are available in this. Like they are properly arranged and they have proper rounded corners and different type of colors. So directly you can use whatever button you want, wherever you want. You can directly copy paste this button and you can get it, because the styling related to it is already in the head tag which we included from Bootstrap. So everything will be automatically done, and you can use whatever button you want from here. And yeah, there are cards. Cards means just like, see, it looks like this, like some maybe some separate division means it looking like some separate box in which everything will mention about an image or something here. By using the simple code, you can get this card, and yeah, so many types of cards are there, many type of images are there. You can directly use them from here. So you don't need to understand whatever it's there in it. You can directly use them by just copying and using here. That's it. Yeah, that's it about Bootstrap. So it's basically a pre-compiled CSS library, not exact library, it's a framework, but yeah, where we can get all CSS files which are already written. So we can use them directly without understanding anything. There are many components in it, and you can use whatever you want, like here placeholders, here we have progress bars, you can see. Actually, when you go through Bootstrap documentation, you automatically understand everything because it's very well explained here. And everything in it works as we are linking its CSS sheet. So yeah, this progress bars, and we can change here the width and everything, and we can use them. Yeah, that's it. And regarding the links and other stuff, what you want to do after this lecture, Nitin will be explaining it. Yeah. Hello, Nitin.
So yeah. Just a minute. So you can see my screen, right? You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah. So basically you must have wondered like, how do I remember all these things? So you don't need to remember all these things. You just need to remember what you have to do. And, if you want, to, like if you forget, how to embed an image into your web page. So, you can type img tag in HTML, and, various, websites come up where you can, check how, the actual syntax for it. So one of the most important website is like the WT Schools. This is like very famous. You can find almost styling of each like syntax of each and every element here. And the other websites which are useful web development are CodePen.io. This CodePen is like online IDE where you can similar to what we did for live server thing, you can do in this CodePen.io also. And this bootstrap.com, as Venu explained, this is for Bootstrap. And for syntax, you can always Google. And even if want how to, if you want to style a particular element in like a certain fashion, you can also Google that. There'll, many options coming up. So you must be clear as to, what you want to do and how you want to do. You can take the help from Google. So, but only thing you have to do, you have to keep in mind is you should be clear of what you want to do. Then you can do it with the help of Google also. The only thing is, yeah, it's hard to get everything into your head at once. So on practice you'll get habituated to the most important ones, and the other ones anyways you can sure look up on Google all the time. Yeah. So thank you guys, thank you for attending. Now we'll be concluding the session for now. Thank you for attending. And yeah, don't worry, all the material will be shared to you. So you can be, you don't need to remember anything. Everything will be shared. Yeah. Thank you.